For those of you just joining us, of course, Vince Vaughn, Chris Pratt from Delivery Man.
How are you guys?
Hey, listen, first of all, for people who don't know a lot about the film just yet, Vince, why don't you explain just briefly what is Delivery Man?
Well, Delivery Man is a film. My character plays a man that when he was younger was a heavy donor to a sperm bank. And the sperm bank went and overused his stuff, if you will. And now a group of the kids have come together looking for their father, and they're interested in meeting my character. And there's an anonymity clause where my character's, identity is sort of kept, supposed to be kept private. And, in the film, it's really a big concept, but the movie is actually really about, family and I think acceptance, and, it's really kind of intimate, the things that it deals with. It kind of deals with a lot of the hopes and fears that you have as a parent. And I think also for young people, it kind of deals with kind of when you're younger and starting off, and the different struggles or things that you face. You can feel very alone, and you don't realize that there's a lot of other people who share those same feelings that you do. And Chris plays my close friend, who's also an attorney, and my character does not have a windfall of money, if you will, and so he turns to Chris's character for some help with the legality of the issue.
Now, when you guys see, the original Starbuck, and you're thinking about a reimagining of it, what new elements and new dimensions do you guys see in your heads when you guys were approaching this film that you guys wanted to bring to it for, the American audience that maybe wasn't there before?
I don't know if I look at it in those terms. I mean, it's really a director's medium, and the writer-director is a really passionate filmmaker, and he was very passionate about this story, and he was very passionate about telling it for this audience. And so I think we just put ourselves in his hands and really worked from an honest place, and kind of followed his lead, and we're really grateful to work with a filmmaker like Ken.
Yeah, and there were small things that he had to do to Americanize the story. I mean, for instance, one of Vince's kids in the original in the Starbuck, David Wozniak, has a son who's this famous professional soccer player, but of course we don't have professional soccer here, so they make him a guy who plays for the Knicks. So it's an Americanized story, but for the most part,
takes place in New York City.
Takes place in New York City rather than in Montreal, and it's in the language of English, which for me is the best language, because it's the one I know. And I don't have to read while I'm watching it, because, not a big reader. But
one of the really cool things about the movie is when you just read a description about it, you think, wow, this sounds like a really cool comedy. It's so much more than that. There are so many more layers to it. It's got real heart to it. When you guys were making it and when you were approaching it, was that intentional? Did you want to not just have another comedy, but rather a comedy with a lot of emotion, a lot of heart?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was... My first exposure to the story was watching the original. I became a Ken Scott fan right off the bat, just watching Starbuck. I loved the movie. I thought it was a incredibly unique voice, really relevant. There's something different about it, and you're right. It's not at all what you'd expect. I think, given that it's a movie that a lot of people know Vince from playing bigger, crazier characters, and Wedding Crashers and Old School, like this super hilarious body of work. And then with an outlandish premise, you get the idea of what you might know what to expect watching this movie, but people are going to be really surprised because, he has 533 children, 100 or 200 of whom are suing him to try to, find out, who he is.
Yeah.
And a silly version of that movie could be made where these kids are after him, but as soon as you go into the life of these kids, you realize they're facing very, very real circumstances that are moving, heartwarming, heartbreaking. It's an entire generation of 20-year-old kids who run the gamut of experience and their situations is really some hard situations that they're in, and it's like it made my wife cry 4 times, and she doesn't cry. It's the first 4 times I've ever seen her cry.
Because they've always resolved things very, very respectfully.
Yeah.
They have a nice way of talking through issues.
Yeah.
The toilet seat should be down. I understand. And then that's the end of it.
And that's it. No tears.
No, as audiences, we're so used to seeing each of you guys. You both have such brilliant, unique styles of comedy about you, and we're so used to seeing, the incredible body of work.
About me. Like, what do you mean?
And of course, the pantheon of work that you've got to. But not just the film itself isn't what we expected. When we see each one of you guys, and what we're so used to seeing in many ways, you guys each show us a side of yourselves from a performance point of view that I think a lot of us have never seen before, that type of mixture. For each one of you guys, Vince, let's start with you. How did you want to approach the character that way and showing those different sides to your performance that we haven't seen before?
Well, to Chris's point, I think the movie's very unique that you don't have a lot of films nowadays that allows itself to be so dramatic or so tense or sentimental and straight up funny under one roof.
Right.
And what's great about this film is it's really an unpredictable ride because you're not sure where the movie's going to go next. And so I think it hits you and affects you so strongly because you're really not sure where it's going to go. And as an actor, it's so much fun to get to go to work every day and not just be performing one genre or painting in just one color, having the circumstances call for different emotions. And, it's a director's medium, so as an actor, for me, some people accents or this stuff, but I always just look to be as truthful as I can be within the context of the scene, and then you have to fit into the tone that the director is making.
Right.
It's the director's medium. You want to make your director happy. So, for Ken, I think the whole movie is very grounded in reality. The premise is extreme, although it's, something that you hear has happened. So I feel like you kind of get committed to each circumstance, and so sometimes the circumstances lend themselves to being stuff that you can laugh at, and other times it's very kind of touching because you see people that are real people, dimensional people that are trying their best to get past some situations that can be very difficult. And I think that's why audiences have been affected by it in such a powerful way,
Right.
because there's something very real and grounded about it, but there's also something, extreme emotions come out within the context of the story.
And Chris?
I just want to learn, continue to learn. And from both Vince and from Ken in this project, I definitely learned a lot. And, one of the things that really intrigued me and made me excited is that through the course of jobs I've done in my career, I've ad-libbed a lot, like just making up stuff or taking the writer's words and just making them my own, saying what they're saying, but in my own words, essentially avoiding acting in a way. and with this, it was really important to me to just say everything as written and just stick to the words, let the words do the work, not ever deliver a punchline like it's a joke, and focus on really tethering everything to a sort of dramatic through line and a reality for these characters, and not play it as a comedy at all. And there's some really funny moments in this movie, but it's not because anyone is yucking it up or telling a joke. It's all rooted in essentially a pretty dramatic reality.
And Chris says that very humbly, but he's clearly done a great range of stuff. Even in his young career, he's done more dramatic stuff and more comedic stuff as well. But I think you definitely have a filmmaker here that's created a world that is very real, but allows itself to open up to a lot of different emotions.
All right, well, for me, the thing I love about the film the most is the surprise of it. Not many films today can be surprising, and both from your performances and the story itself. But let me get you guys to put your salesman hats on just for a second. Why are AMC audiences going to love Delivery Man?
I think they're going to love the movie for the same reasons that all audiences have really loved the movie, because I think it's about what's really going on in our lives. I think it's really about family. It's about the hopes and fears that you have for your kids. I think it's about, like I said, the situations that people are in that they can feel alone is. And I think it's nice to feel loved, and it's also really nice to have someone to love or people to love. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of the film is really about accepting yourself, forgiving yourself for things that maybe you didn't handle well, and also kind of coming to terms with who you are and feeling okay about that.
Well, guys, listen, congratulations on the film. It's a gutsy film. It's a fun film. It's a wonderful film, and we can't wait to have it on these two screens. Thanks so much, guys.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.